longest-running television show, brings you the weather around the country, in Iowa, Ames, and Iowa State Meteorology Department's team of forecasters keeps you ahead of the next weather system. Size Eyes on the Skies starts now.
Hi, welcome to Size Eyes on the Skies. My name is Mlcoch, and I'm joined here with Corey Harguth. Corey, how's the weather look across the country today?
Well, the above average temperatures are continuing across much of the nation, and yeah, there's really not much else to say with it. Some rain in some parts down south, and a little bit up in this area.
A little bit up in the area. You know, it's a pretty good day around Iowa. Just a little bit gloomy. Yep. You know, it was pretty nice around the country too. I mean, you still have 80-degree temperatures as high as what, Chicago?
Yeah, 80s, and I think possibly even some upper 80s, maybe some lower 90s. Possibly.
That is just unrealistic for this time of year.
I mean, it's still March.
It is, and it makes me realize I feel like it's summer. I honestly don't want to go to school at all because I feel like it's summer.
We've had severe weather outbreaks already, and in fact, we had another tornado record, I guess, kind of broken up in Minnesota on Monday, and I'll talk about that coming up when we go back to our old segment, breaking out the weather news segment tonight.
Sounds good. Back. I'm so happy to have weather news back. But right now we're going to take you over to Sean with the Iowa forecast a little bit. Let's see what's going on.
Yeah, so kind of like Corey said, it's been pretty gloomy out. You know, still above average, but you know, kind of drizzly on and off throughout the day. That system that's brought severe weather down south has really. It's been just pulling up moisture from the Gulf and just keeps us in this just gloomy air.
Think it'll stick around for a little bit?
What?
Think it'll stick around for a little bit?
Yeah, probably like a day or two more. But actually, there looks like there's going to be some promise later in the week, so I'll get to that later. But why don't we take a look at the day planner?
Yep.
And so, looking at the rest of your night tonight, midnight, it's going to be kind of drizzly, off and on showers with temperature of about 60 and east winds actually of 10 to 15 miles per hour. 8 a.m. It's going to still be cloudy, still be drizzly. That moisture's still going to be hanging around, and about 58, so not that much of a drop in temperature. Southeast winds of still 5 to 10. And then looking ahead into later in the day at 3 p.m., the rain actually looks like it's going to finally halt for a little bit, and we might even see some peaks of sun with a temperature of 62 and south winds of 5 to 10. So, you know, overall, it's really, it looks like it's trying to get better. And actually, later on in the week, I'll show you in our extended forecast that we might actually see a good amount of sun.
Yeah,
so
it's weird how people feel like, oh, it's only 58 degrees outside.
I know. Like after all these 70-degree days,
and yet the average is what, 49?
Exactly.
It's so ridiculous this time of year.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to take us to our first breaks, but stay tuned with WeatherX News and also the today's trivia question and the national forecast. Welcome back to Size Eyes in the Sky. It's a beautiful day around the country, but right now we're going to take it to the wall with Corey Harguth with the WeatherX News.
Hey, thanks, Zach. And like we said, we're bringing back this segment for the first time since last spring, so we're going back in the archives yet again. We're trying to do that a little bit more with our system, taking a look at some weather headlines. The warm weather is continuing to stay around with those fire concerns in much of the upper Midwest. And we do have the cutoff low just down to our south, which is bringing quite a bit of precipitation to like the New Orleans area and even up into parts of Iowa. But parts of New Orleans saw upwards of 20 inches of rain in the last week, which is pretty amazing, I guess. And then tornado watch for part of Alabama. And speaking of tornadoes, I mentioned in the open a little while ago, we had the second earliest tornado touchdown in Minnesota history on Monday night. Touchdown in the northern part of Waseca County and moved into Le Sueur County had a track of about 7 miles and was rated an EF0 with winds of 80 to 85 miles per hour with downbursts adding into that, given a total damage path of roughly a mile or so. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any pictures for us to look at with that. But let's take a look at your severe weather outlook. This is today's still. We do have a slight risk down in far southeastern Louisiana, moving into parts of Mississippi, and then northern Texas and southern Oklahoma. I know I've seen a few reports for this slight risk down here, but I'm not sure on any of the specifics at this point. So taking a look at your extended forecast for New Orleans, 73 for your high tomorrow, 79 Friday with some rain hanging around, and then Saturday clearing up as the highs start approaching 80 and lows not getting anywhere below the mid-60s. That's a look at what's making weather news. Zach, back to you.
Thanks, Corey. We're going to take a look at today's trivia question. When did the earliest tornado touch down in Minnesota? Was it A, March 12, 1960, B, March 18, 1968, C, March 21, 1975, or D, March 28, 1989? We're going to take it to the wall right now with Zach Sharpe with the National Forecast. Zach?
And thank you very much, Zach. I am Zach Sharpe with your national forecast for this evening. There's a lot going around in the country, especially since we have that cutoff low. Taking a look at current temps around your nation. Out in the western part of the nation, we can see those 50 degrees as far as the northeast as well. In the central part in the Ohio Valley, we are experiencing 60 degrees, which is wonderful, far above average for this time of year. And in the deep south, we are experiencing 70 degrees. Here's this cutoff low we have been talking about, which has been bringing this moisture. With a cutoff low, it gets separated from the jet stream, which is far into Canada, causing this not to go anywhere, causing this moisture to stick around for quite some time. Rainfall totals are quite impressive down in Oklahoma. Some radar estimated rainfall right now is 7 inches, which is a lot of rain. Taking a look at your surface map for tomorrow, you can see maybe some snow showers up in Washington as this cold front slides through with a low pressure system. And here's this cutoff low bringing lots of moisture to most of the country. Taking a look at your 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, there's a slight sliver of a colder temperatures, but look at the country. It's mostly above average, and we have been feeling that above around this time of the year. Taking a look at the 6 to 10 precipitation outlook, most of the country is going to be wet due to that cutoff low, but there is a small area of dry pocket which is causing that dry weather. And that's all I got. Back to the desk.
Thanks, Zach. Well, that takes us to our second break, but stay tuned to the answers to today's trivia question and also the Iowa forecast. Welcome back to Size Eyes in the Sky. Let's look at today's trivia question. When did the earliest tornado touch down in Minnesota? Was it A, March 12, 1960, B, March 18, 1968, C, March 21, 1975, or D, March 28, 1989? The right answer is B, March 18, 1968. Well, that takes up for the trivia. Let's go over to the wall with Sean with the Iowa forecast.
All right, yeah, we're going to be looking at your Iowa forecast right now and just kind of looking at what's going around the state of Iowa and what we have for weather. So let's take a look at the Ames Almanac again today. So today we had a high of about 68, and look at this normal. That is 20 degrees above normal. The normal is 48, just unbelievable. Although it was nowhere near a record of 85 degrees. Our low this morning was at about 57 degrees, once again way above normal, where in this case it's almost 30 degrees above normal, and the record is -4. So once again, we didn't break that record. And we had a little bit of precip today, only about 0.5 of an inch, and that's really all that you can take from that. So current conditions in Ames, it's a little drizzly, kind of partly cloudy in the area. 65 degrees, off and on showers. So, you know, when you step outside, you might feel a little bit of rain, but it'll only last maybe a minute or two. With winds out of the southeast by 5 to 10 miles an hour. Tonight's temperatures around the state of Iowa and Ames, we're looking at 60 degrees with light rain. Pella looking at 60 as well. And then as you get farther west, it's going to be a little bit cooler. So in Storm Lake, we got 55, and Clarinda about 52. And then over in the Quad Cities, we have almost 63 degrees. So kind of a fair temperature difference across the state of Iowa. Forecast for Ames tonight is once again going to be kind of drizzly, mostly cloudy with showers, winds out of the east from 10 to 15 miles per hour, and we're going to get down to about 60 degrees. tonight, so it's not going to be that much of a temperature drop throughout the evening. Tomorrow we're looking at, again, drizzle, but in this case we're going to get a little bit of the sun coming out throughout the day, and that's going to happen towards later afternoon. Rain's going to be ending, winds out of the south at 5 to 10 with a high of about 62. So once again, there's just not going to be that much of a temperature difference throughout the day tomorrow. For your extended forecast frames, so like I said, we're looking at about 62 for Thursday with light rain and some peaks of sun, low of about 47. And then Friday, we're looking at, once again, a little bit more rain, but sun's going to still try to peak out with, once again, a low of about 47 and a high of 65. Now Saturday, we're looking at some sun. Now, as you can tell, the sun has some sunglasses on it, and it's, kind of enjoying the fact that it actually gets to shine down upon the earth again. So we're looking at a high of about 68 with a low of 49. And then once again on Sunday, we got a high of 77. So we're getting way back up there towards 80 degrees with a low of 51. And then Monday, again, mostly sunny with a high of 79. So yeah, we're kind of starting to warm back up. It's kind of exciting.
It's kind of a pain, though. I mean, it's supposed to be 79 on Monday. From March. I mean, it was from March. I mean, end of March.
Can you really complain with that? I mean,
no. It's getting in the way of my studies and getting in the way of, I'm sure, everyone else's studies. Everyone wants to be outside.
Of course.
But I think it does help you, get to lay in the grass, under the campanile and everything, and just relax and study and everything. So,
explain a little bit more about the trivia question. I was going to get some stats for Zach here. Completely slipped my mind. But that first tornado, or the earliest tornado ever touched down Minnesota, like we said, was back in 1968, March 18th. So they just missed that date to make it the earliest tornado when it touched down Monday night. But that first one was in Truman, Minnesota, which is, for those of you from the southern part of Minnesota, I know none of you are, but I don't know, Sean, if you know anything about southern Minnesota, but Truman, off to the west and southwest of Mankato a little bit.
Okay.
But
yeah, that makes sense.
This year, the weather, it's been pretty active all across the country. And now we have that cutoff low.
yeah.
And that cutoff low, you get separated from jet stream, so it just sits there until something pushes it out of the way. And so that's why we've had this very rainy week.
Yeah, speaking of the rain, there's flood watches, like I said, in southwest Missouri, all of Arkansas. It's just unbelievable. And all of Mississippi. It's just crazy how that low was just sitting there. It's supposed to sit there for still a couple of days and still go up through the Chicago area.
It looks like by Saturday, finally, we push it on out. It gets sucked back into the jet stream, so hopefully.
Yeah, I know the choir from my high school is taking a trip down to New Orleans. They left this afternoon, so hopefully it dries up a little bit for them.
and
The drive will be a rainy one, that's for sure.
Yeah, then we got those tornado watches, and there was a few warnings in Alabama, and pretty active all over the country.
I was kind of excited to see lightning here in Ames, though. I mean, it's a little early for lightning, but like I said, who does not enjoy the warmth? Who does not enjoy the storms?
Exactly.
I mean, it's honestly just a dream come true.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We had a few storms move through here on Monday that were severe, but none in the Ames metro. But
nothing went severe warned. By the time it got here, it pretty much all fell apart.
Yeah,
It all fell apart,
there's a severe thunderstorm warning when it hit Mason City, so Tyler Roney had a nice
there you
thunderstorm.
go.
warning. Yeah.
A little bit of excitement.
So
for
we
me.
sent it his way. So.
Yeah.
And all the rain has really started to make all the trees and grass on campus get really green.
Yeah.
So it's starting to get really beautiful out there.
I noticed that today walking.
Yeah.
It's just like, wow.
Yeah.
That's green.
You come home from spring break and everything's just like you said, green again. And it was just weird how you left, everything was dead, and then everyone had a fabulous break with temperatures just
Some of those
through the roof. And
spring blossom trees are starting to really bud
Oh,
out.
like in the nation's capital, the cherry blossom trees are just.
Yeah.
I mean, you just hope there isn't a deep freeze anytime soon. That's the thing we're just really praying for, which I don't see it coming with a 79 on Monday and possibly an 82 on Tuesday.
Models are they're not really pointing towards anything like that. I mean, maybe a little bit of a cool down, but it's nowhere near what looks like would be a deep freeze. So.
Well, it sounds good. As you said, next week is the beginning of Greek Week, and the Emerging Greek Leadership Council is having a meal under the Campanile on March 28th from 11 to 1. It is on Central Campus right underneath the Campanile, and for $5, they will serve pulled pork sandwiches, chips, cookies, drinks, and everything you could have. All proceeds do go to the Ames Emergency Residence Project, which is a local homeless shelter for 45% of the children. So if you guys have any time next week, $5, you get a nice, decent meal, and the money does all go to a very nice homeless shelter.
Hopefully the weather is wonderful for that.
Yeah.
It should be nice
Yeah.
all next week. So get out there. But it was a pleasure to have you guys tune in for us tonight.
Especially with a packed house.
the
It's
packed
so
house.
different.
It is so full and
Yeah.
a nice beginning to the year. So
Yeah, it's nice to have 4 people on now.
yeah. So well, thank you for joining Size Eyes on the Skies. Have a good night.